Ever since the U.S. first established a public education system in the late 1800s, the primary way that we have educated children has been through textbooks. The sound of "OK class, please turn to page 16" is usually met by a classroom with the same enthusiasm as a death sentence. It's no wonder that every 26 seconds a high school student drops out. So if we want kids to retain the information that they learn, instead of just focusing on getting them through the system, we have to rethink our methods of teaching. If the public education system we have nowadays was made up of the aforementioned textbooks, then it would be falling apart at the seams. First, let's think about a learning environment. Walk into most schools and you'll see a quiet room with rows of desks, a teacher talking up front, and students with glassy eyes and their heads on the desks. This is because a lot of classrooms are anesthetizing. An anesthetic experience is a situation where you find your brain going to sleep. You feel numb and tired, and your brain is shut. An aesthetic experience, on the other hand, is when you feel awake and alive, and your brain is being stimulated. When you watch a movie or read a book you just can't put down, or start sharing an interesting conversation with a friend, your mind is open. You're learning. Take the movie Freedom Writers, directed by Richard LaGravenese. In it, a group of struggling students became interested in learning when their teacher, Miss Gruwell, gives them an aesthetic experience of meeting real-life Holocaust survivors. The conversations they have with the survivors stimulate their love of education, and they begin to feel like they actually care about school. So in school, would you rather be having a fascinating group discussion about an interesting video you just watched, or sitting in your uncomfortable chair, bored out of your skull, watching the clock, and daydreaming about which Hogwarts house you would be in if forced to choose? Yeah, we would choose the first one too. On the topic of having your brain stimulated by your environment, let's talk about the arts. The arts aren't limited to drawing and painting. What about theater, dance, music, choir? These activities are all helpful to students, especially students who are disengaged in learning. It's well known that physical activity increases brain activity, so it makes sense to integrate arts into education. Math, science, and history are important, of course, but they need to be balanced out. In the TED Talk, Changing Education Paradigms, educational speaker Ken Robinson talks about the epidemic of ADHD sweeping the U.S. He says that the arts are the real victims of the mentality of the epidemic, such as people blaming the arts for being distracting to students. Related to this topic is the story from a previous TED Talk, How Schools Are Killing Creativity, about a famous ballet dancer, Gillian Lynn, who was considered unintelligent by her school until she realized she learned better through physical expression. Relating back to the idea of aesthetic experiences, the arts can give students a chance to take a break from the daily routine. Something that a lot of people don't consider, something that a lot of people take for granted, is the way students are grouped and moved through the school system. Ken Robinson compared the school system to a factory, moving kids through for one purpose: university entrance. The strange thing is that public school systems in America are all separated by age. The kindergarten level students are 4 and 5, the 5th graders are 10, the sophomores are 15, but despite age, there can be a vast difference in learning style and other factors such as literacy and spatial relations. A student's background is a major factor in their learning style, and the problem is, a student with a low reading level may feel uncomfortable or even stupid if placed in a class with students on a higher level than them, simply because they are the same age. This may cause them to feel like they are not being cared about. If we could separate students by ability rather than age, we might be able to accommodate them more efficiently. And we're not talking about the separation into a smart and dumb classes, because smart and dumb shouldn't exist. Some students are better in certain areas than others. A good idea would be to have different levels of work for each student in each class, so that they are all equal in class, but their needs are being met. And it all wraps back around to how kids feel about school, like their personal needs are being met, and they actually matter to their school system, and that they are going to be successful. To society, education seems routine and factory-like. To us, education is all about the experience and how it can improve you as a person. Thank you very much.